Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
It's the morning drive. It's Mira Business FM. My name's Tim Elliott, and the UAE is weighing tougher limits on children's access to social media. Concerns are growing over screen addiction, online harm, and the long-term impact on young minds. And it's a debate that's gaining momentum. Policymakers, educators, and parents are now asking whether regulation is essential rather than optional. So with me next is a leading well-being expert, a digital well-being expert, who recently attended a conference that ran alongside the World Economic Forum in and during Davos that examined the risks and responsibilities surrounding young people's digital lives. She's also conducting ongoing research, interviewing nearly 50 teenagers every month to better understand how social media is shaping behavior, mental health, identity, and opportunity. Senior lecturer in education and childhood studies at Middlesex University, digital wellbeing expert, Dr. Alison Burrows. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Look, there's so much to talk to you about, and I want to start with the well-being, first of all, which is what you obviously consult on. You've worked, I think, more than most to increase meaningful teaching and learning with tech. It's kind of your thing, isn't it? So how serious are the risks facing teenagers on social media right now, based on what you hear directly from the teenagers that you speak to?
Oh, I think the risks are incredible. I think the risks are absolutely incredible. I think we are all undermining, as adults, as teachers, as parents, what's really happening on social media. And in addition to the harmful, negative, traumatic content that kids are seeing on social media is also hacking their ability to pay attention. Yeah.
That's something we hear a great deal, that, you know, attention spans are shorter than they ever were. But I'd kind of contend it's not just teenagers. It's kind of most of us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really all of us.
You know, I see parents in fast food restaurants, you know, mothers, fathers, kids, extended family, and everybody sat on their phone.
That's right.
Scrolling.
That's right. And so, in that case, that's hacking our attachment systems. So there's a field of study in developmental psychology called attachment science, and it's also backed by the neuroscience. Children need to have a secure attachment to their parents, and that occurs through eye contact, playing, being held, cuddled, serve and return, and when parents are completely present for their children. And these systems are being hacked because parents are also on their phones so much. So they're not completely present and available for their children, which is interfering with their child's ability to form a secure attachment. When we have secure attachment, a child can then build the foundation of a healthy relationship in any other aspect of their life, in friendship, at school, with their teachers, and eventually with their future spouses.
Okay, so before we attack social media and bring down the very fabric of our existence at the moment, the best thing you can do as a parent is, it's not about money, it's not about gifts, it's not about anything other than giving your children time.
Yes, be completely present and available for your child. And number two, do not be the source of your child's fear.
Okay, what do you mean by that exactly?
Well,
give me an example.
A lot of old school parenting styles, which still persist today, is to use fear and punishment to discipline a child.
Right.
Right. If a child is afraid of a parent, they develop a disorganized attachment, meaning they don't have anyone in their lives to trust or to feel safe with. So then they are less likely and less able to explore the world, take the risks they need to take in order to learn and become independent adults, but they also don't develop a sense of safety inside of themselves, which they need and which we all need whenever we're in difficult situations in our lives. So children need a secure base. That is critical for healthy development. Okay. When the parent is the source of fear and that secure base doesn't exist for a child, that child's brain will develop in a much different way than a child who has a secure and healthy attachment with their parents.
I'm with you. Okay,
Yeah.
so you want to be a parent that a child, excuse me, will come to and say, I'm a little bit afraid of telling you this, but I need to tell you because I think you'll know what to do, rather
Yes.
than I can't tell you because you'll punish me.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All right then.
Yes.
So let me just ask you something. There are so many things, and my mind is kind of in three places here. Let's go back to Davos for a moment, where you were. You were around global policymakers. You were around tech leaders. You were attending sessions there. Do you feel that governments are ready to act on the risks that we're all so aware of with social media? Is there momentum really starting to build?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I attended the Human Change Conference, which ran on the promenade at Davos in parallel to the World Economic Forum. And the attendees there were Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Anxious Generation, and Tristan Harris, the founder of the Center for Humane Technology, and the leading global experts and researchers in this field. And what was so interesting is I was sitting at a table with Jonathan Haidt and one of the executives from TikTok, talking about correlation and causation, and does TikTok really harm children? And Jonathan Haidt was just sitting there making his case to this TikTok executive, and then he gets up and he says, I have to go. I have a meeting with Macron. And Haidt gets up and goes and meets with Macron. And 2 days later in Davos, Macron talks about putting forth a social media ban in France.
Right.
Interestingly, just a couple weeks ago in Dubai, at the World Government Summit, the Prime Minister of Spain announced a social media ban in Spain. So this is snowballing, and these social media bans are typically for children 16 and under.
Well, it seems to be. I mean, we've got the UAE's gone from kind of suggesting digital safety to legally enforcing it this year. So for anybody that isn't aware, there is now the Child Digital Safety, the CDS law.
Right.
So that's changing how social media is policed for the under-18. So it's now become a tri-party responsibility. So it's the government, the platforms, and the parents. Are social media limits the right solution, or is there a risk that you push young people into less visible, harder to monitor spaces?
So I want to answer those things differently. I don't believe in limits right now. I believe in bans, and I believe in bans not because I'm peddling in fear and panic, but because I have read all of the research. And I have talked to already 50 teenagers, and I have 200 more to talk to within the next couple of months. Will this push kids into more precarious spaces? Perhaps. I don't know. If the government is very strong in enforcing and blocking sites that are more dangerous or precarious, then no, it won't push kids into those spaces. But at this point, given the dangers of what's happening on social media, where all of the predators are hiding and all of the drug dealers are hiding and where children are picking up gambling habits, I'm not sure there are more dangerous spaces right now.
So it's there in plain sight, is what you're saying. So we need to do something now. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not just predatory behavior. There are so many other elements here. Toxic behavior, cyberbullying. But there are far deeper issues. For example, at the moment we're all kind of bombarded with short form video, aren't we?
Yes.
It's kind of omnipresent. So algorithms work. So you get that kind of dopamine hit. A funny video, a like, something something positive pops up. You get that irregularly while you're scrolling. And it's smart because the probability mathematically of the next video being better than the current one that's a real hook. That's kind of irresistible.
Right.
So do you think first of all, that we're seeing a permanent shift in reward sensitivity? And then how does this affect a teen's ability to engage in classroom activity, slow reward activities like reading, doing homework, spending time studying, the hard yard stuff that you need to do to get somewhere.
Yeah. So I just spoke about this at a conference. Teachers are getting children who have grown up on short form content.
Yeah.
So their attention spans obviously are not at the capacity that they need to be successful students and to do the hard work of learning. Currently, there is a huge trial going on in Los Angeles. There are 1,600 separate lawsuits that have been rolled into one class action lawsuit against social media companies, not just for all of the harmful content that children have been exposed to, but also for the fact that these algorithms have been specifically designed to enable these dopamine hits, especially in children and teenagers, to keep them addicted. So when the child is addicted to social media, it actually lays neural pathways in their brains to have and be prone to other addictions. And this addiction typically occurs through this short form content where they keep on watching videos and getting a reward and watching another short video, right? And then getting that dopamine hit reward. And when the attention span of a child is so short, it also affects their ability to self-regulate, to control their own behavior. It also affects their ability just to feel good, just to feel whole and rested and happy.
So it's a gateway drug, short form video.
It's the big tobacco. It's the big tobacco of the current day, right? These social media companies, they very well know they're doing harm, but right now they're fighting against it in a big class action lawsuit in Los Angeles. What's very interesting is that YouTube and Snapchat settled. They did not go to court. I don't know if settling for them is an admission of guilt. They wouldn't say so, but I see it that way. They don't want their dirty laundry aired on a global stage.
I think a lot of people see settling that way. So what should tech companies be doing then? Because, this is a business to these companies. How should they be responding to regulatory pressure that, is snowballing pretty much everywhere you are?
These are products for adults. So the tech company is not going to respond unless governments all over the world enforce regulation that nobody under 18 should be on these products. The same way we do the same with alcohol and tobacco and driver's licenses. They're regulations. If you're below a certain age, you can't do it.
There's another issue, another side to this. So if we look at the UAE law, the Child Digital Safety Law, it's a tri-party responsibility. So the government and the platforms, but it's also down to the parents. Now, not everyone will be aware of the law here in the UAE. Some won't bother to monitor children appropriately. That's part of life. That's one segment. Some people just won't bother to follow it. That's another segment. Because not all parents are created equally. Yeah. How do you get the message across? How do you encourage, how do you inculcate better parents? Because it ain't hard to become a parent. It doesn't take a lot of effort.
No, there's no parent school either.
There
right?
isn't.
Yeah.
So, it's an uphill struggle, isn't it? Because so much of the onus is on the parent in the first instance, as far as I can see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I agree with stronger regulation to relieve some of the pressure on parents. However, what I see happening now is schools are starting to ban phones across the UAE. The private schools, the government schools have always banned phones. And a lot of schools are starting to send home newsletters to parents about the dangers of social media and various, online behaviors. Schools often invite me to do coffee mornings where I go in and I talk to parents about how they can manage screen time, how they can support their children, all the risks and dangers that parents need to know about. And there are lots of people like me out there doing this work, trying to spread awareness, looking at the research, providing presentations.
What do you hear from parents, most of all, when you go in and do a coffee morning in a school and you talk to people about, the inherent dangers that maybe they're not aware of? What kind of reaction do you get?
Not very many of them are surprised with what I'm saying.
Okay.
I typically attract the parent who's already concerned about this. That seems to be the problem. Parents feel they've already lost the battle, that they cannot keep up no matter how hard they try to ban an app or to get their child to use screens less. The child always figures out a way around it. Kids are smart, and they tell each other how to get around parent controls and how to get around limited screen time.
Well, it's the old story, isn't it? Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we?
And can I tell you what I hear the most?
Yeah, please.
I don't want my child to be the only one without social media. My child feels left out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I hear most of the time. I don't want my kid to be the only one.
Which leaves an option that the government then has to say, well, it is
There
banned
you go.
and you'll be breaking the law. So it's that's kind of a last-ditch attempt.
And what some schools have done, which is so amazing, is they've started parent packs. So the school sends out an email to their whole parent community saying, you can opt in to delay smartphone acquisition until your child is, for example, 14 or 15. And then maybe 50% of parents sign on for that. And now when the child says, Mom, I'm the only one without a smartphone, that mom can say, well, actually, here's a list of 50% of other parents in your school community who aren't getting their kids smartphones.
It used to be. I mean, I don't know. Another radio station, we used to do a lot of traffic stuff, and one of the things at the time was child seats, and we regularly get people texting in about, well, my child will fight the child seat and won't let me strap them in, and it just made me mad. And I would think, well, when did you not become the boss of your child? What is wrong with you? That's just inherent parent failure. That's dumb.
Yeah.
I used to think, and I still do. And it's kind of the same with this. If your child is complaining, well, I'm the only one, well, I'm sorry, that's tough.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to? Am I getting this wrong? Because I feel as though maybe I'm a little bit out of touch and a grumpy old man.
No, there's something called the anti-fragile parenting movement, right?
Okay.
So as of the past 2 or 3 decades, we've been in the gentle parenting movement, right? Where we're always over-comforting our children.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't come
I'm
from
sure
that.
you've noticed that when your child goes to a football tournament, everyone gets a trophy. God forbid these kids don't feel fabulous 100% of the time. So there's this new evidence-based, science-backed parenting movement called the anti-fragile parenting movement.
Okay.
We want our kids to struggle at developmentally appropriate levels so they can build resilience. Resilience is critical, not just for childhood, but for the rest of our lives. We need to learn how to overcome difficulties.
Because life is
So
tough.
telling a child you can't have social media even when all their friends do, will that be hard for the child? Absolutely. But you can also be the parent that supports your child through not having social media by setting up other activities for them to be socially engaged with other children, by finding the other children who aren't on social media either, because believe me, they're out there.
You just mentioned something there, and I had no idea that this happened. What TikTok do? We're talking about the evils of social media and whether or not there should be a ban. I know you're firmly in the there should be a ban camp.
Yes.
What age would you recommend?
Again,
Social media is acceptable.
I believe it's a tool for adults. So at this point, I'm
you're
going with
16?
18. No,
18.
I'm going with 18 or older because the brain, when a child is in adolescence, the brain is going through a massive process of rewiring. That is the biggest time in a person's life where the brain actually changes. Okay. How do we want that brain to be rewired? By watching short-form harmful content? Or by having in real life experiences that are full of sensory experiences, taste, smell, touch, feeling, conversation, eye contact? Yeah.
What do you do about the communication aspects of a smartphone then? Do you qualify WhatsApp, for example, as social media, Snapchat as social media? Because those are ways of conversing.
Yeah.
aren't they? Is that under the same banner, or is it very specifically the TikToks, the Instagram?
Oh, Snapchat for sure is social media.
Right.
And it is the number one choice besides TikTok of teens in the UAE. And it is probably the most dangerous and the most deceptive because that is where first of all, it's all disappearing messages.
Yeah.
So this is where the predators and the drug dealers and the people who are grooming children into certain behaviors, people who are exploiting children, this is where they are all hiding. If someone makes a friend request to you on Snapchat, it looks like they are connected to a friend of yours, but it never shows you which friend of yours you're connected to. So we see teens always accepting friend requests from people they don't know because it looks like that person they don't know is connected to someone they do know. And this is how the predators are so successful in finding their bait, which are children, on Snapchat.
Okay, and you want to have as many connections as you can because then you're
Right,
perceived as being more popular and it
And
makes
then
you
there are
feel
the
better.
snap streaks. You know about snap streaks?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah. So snap streaks is it measures how many if you have daily interactions with your contacts. So it's a gamification mechanism of chatting and keeping users addicted. And these users are teenagers.
Well, they are. There's another side to that. My daughter had that with her cousin, and she was
Okay.
on a Snapchat streak but this is 4 or 5 years ago. So she was 14.
Yeah.
And she was on the streak. They were chatting every day for about 4 or 5 years, which seemed to me relatively innocent. That's a nice way of being connected to family.
Right.
But it's very easy for that to tip into a much darker place, is your point.
So a lot of teenagers say there's a lot of pressure to continue these streaks. The pressure, they don't want to be the one to break it.
Okay.
And that's really, if you think about time management and learning just how to manage relationships, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I guess if your friends are putting pressure on you in that way, or you feel pressure in a friendship in that way, that's not a positive thing, is it?
No, chat groups are very, very complicated for kids. There are so many nuances around how fast you have to answer another friend's WhatsApp or private message to you to be considered a good friend.
Really?
It's incredibly nuanced. It's incredibly complicated.
You could tell my son that, because getting him to respond is, I tell you, drives my wife insane.
Yeah,
Will you
yeah.
answer me, please, boy?
But maybe he's responding to his friends more quickly.
It could well be.
But it also seems that girls get more caught up. Girls are very, very concerned about coming off as a good friend. And a lot of girls actually feel bad if they do not respond to their friends right away, or they feel that they will be considered not a good friend if they don't respond right away. So while WhatsApp may not be considered social media, the constant notifications and the constant pressure to respond is very stressful for an adolescent and for a developing brain. And that child should be focusing on other things. That child, when I grew up, I was always in the playground with my friends. I was always at the pizzeria. I was doing after-school activities. Everything happened in real life. That's how I learned to navigate complex social situations, and that is what the neuroscience shows is best practice to be a functioning adult with high-quality relationships in the future.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a
Sure,
second.
go for it.
So you and and to be honest, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because I was told as a kid, right, go away, come back when it's dark. I don't
Right.
want to see you. Find something to do. If I complained about something, it was, if you don't find something to do, I will give you something to do. And you knew that meant, I don't know, drying the plates or something.
Right.
And you didn't want to do that. So I'm kind of used to that. But that's very firmly kind of a Generation X kind of way of thinking and being. Okay. Are we not a little bit, grumpy adults that haven't really moved on? Because, the way we communicate has now changed. Smartphones have changed so much. You need to be proficient. You need to be aware. You need to be up to date. That's one of the things about modern life, and it moves very quickly. Are we opening up a space where our children could be left behind if we ban social media until they're 18? Is that a possibility? For example.
That is the devil's advocate argument.
Sure.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it exposing our children to all of the harms of social media during a time in their lives where their brain is going through the biggest rewiring it will ever experience? Is it worth it? Is it worth it wiring their brains to never be able to pay attention, not make eye contact with other human beings, to not know how to navigate difficult and different social situations in real life? Is it worth it exposing them to all the predators in the world who are hanging out on these sites? Is it worth it?
Now I feel bad.
That's my argument.
Okay.
Why are we doing this?
Well, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
What are the biggest misconceptions that we have as adults about how teenagers actually use social platforms? Because not all teenagers are as unaware and innocent as we'd probably like to believe they are.
Yeah.
But what do we not get as adults?
So one of the questions I ask teenagers when I interview them about the reality of their digital lives is, what do you wish adults knew? The first thing they always say to me is, my whole life is online, which is a bit shocking that we've already created these conditions for them. But they also talk about using apps like YouTube or TikTok for inspiration. So some kids are learning how to dance off these videos. Some kids are learning how to cook. Some kids are learning painting techniques. I talked to a girl who is very into drama, so she's learning, how to be a Shakespearean actor by watching videos.
There's some great tutorials out there.
Yeah, and I think, look, if these videos are on a safe platform and are not short-form content, and the child watches something and then goes and does it in real life, they're not passively scrolling, they are taking some kind of learning opportunity and then practicing it in real life, that is not as bad as mindlessly scrolling, watching 30-second videos for 3 hours and then doing nothing. The kids I interview always talk about how they lose track of time and how their brain is not processing anything. They're just watching and scrolling, and they're almost like in this black hole. Where they've lost track of time and they don't remember anything they watched.
That's interesting. Look, I had Instagram on my phone for a while on the front screen because I was using it quite a lot. I don't really post much, but I was using it a lot and scrolling a lot. And then I took it off.
Yeah.
And I didn't lose anything from it. And I realized it was wasting a lot of time in my life. But let me ask you a little bit about this, because this interests me. The idea of the polling data that's collected, the likes and the views, and that's kind of the measure of the moment, kind of has been for a decade or so. Yeah. It's mathematically, it's precise.
Yes.
It's quantifiable. But it's kind of hollow when it comes to social validation. Hitting like isn't the same as saying, that was a really good job. It's just it's not the same thing.
Right.
How do you decouple from this so that it's not mistaken for self-worth? So that I don't even know if you can do that. I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man again, but I'm doing that successfully, so I might as well carry on.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, you give children opportunities in real life to build confidence, so they inherently feel good about themselves. Okay. You allow them to take risks. You allow them to fail forward. You provide them with opportunities where they can succeed and where they can grow, so they are building confidence from the inside, not from validation on social media. And keep in mind that likes are engineered. Likes don't all appear at once, or likes don't all appear as soon as they arrive. Social media companies are very strategic about when they're going to deliver your likes so that you keep coming back and checking as well.
There's a load of stuff I wanted to ask you that we're just not going to have time at this point, maybe in the future. But the final question I wanted to get across, or to get put to you, is what are teenagers themselves saying they want to you? You're talking to lots of different teenagers when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to privacy, when it comes to protection online.
There is not a straight answer to that, because on one hand, teens are saying, I'm not just mindlessly scrolling the whole time, but on the other hand, they're saying, I set screen time limits for myself, but then I give myself more time, and I can't seem to get off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't answer that question specifically because there are a million different answers to that question. But one thing I can say, and I want to use China as a case study, which I mentioned to you earlier.
You did, yeah.
TikTok in China alone, if a teenager is using TikTok in China, it automatically shuts down after 40 minutes. There is no harmful content. Their teenagers are following astronauts and scientists and mathematicians and experts. There's no harmful content. There are no self-harm videos. Chinese girls are not following influencers that are teaching them how to survive on 200 calories a day. None of that stuff is happening there. So that is a case study to show that social media companies can control the content they're delivering to children, as well as shut off after a certain length of time.
Dr. Alison Burrows is a digital well-being expert. She's also a professor. She lectures in education and childhood studies at Middlesex University here in Dubai. Lots more to say, but we'll come back to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It's Mirror Business FM.